Good morning and welcome to The Point. It is Tuesday, August 4th, 2020, the first To The Point program of the month. Thank you to each and every one of you for joining us. Those of you on the GBN Television Facebook page, the Grenada Broadcasting Network's YouTube channel, the website www.gbn.gd, those of you watching on GBN TV, channel 7, 11 and 20, and of course, the loyal listeners of Classic 105.5, 105.9, Hot 98.5, and 98.7. Happy to have each and every one of you joining us this morning. Thank you once again. This morning, our guest is, what should I say, no stranger to the public eye, no stranger to the program as well, Mr. Terrence Forrester, a.k.a. Terry Forrester. Good morning, Mr. Forrester.
Good morning, Blossom, and a very great morning to your listeners locally and abroad.
Thank you very much for joining us on the Forrester, this morning we're dealing with any and everything that comes up, matters of national interest, national importance. And I guess we would first start with, where should I start? Let's start with the reopening of Grenada's borders. We opened to regional carriers just July 15th. And then on Saturday gone, we opened to international carriers. With the reopening of Grenada's borders in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic, your thoughts on Grenada's progress in dealing with the virus?
Yes, indeed, Blossom. It is a very challenging situation for any country, and more so a small island state like Grenada. The fact is, it's a balancing act, to be quite honest. Countries, we're reading in the news that have reopened, they seem to be having serious challenges with respect to the COVID-19 virus. And no amount of resources that you have would be able to deal with this pandemic, unfortunately. But we have to deal with what resources we have on our hands and do the best we can. I must compliment all the health workers who are doing their utmost best in the circumstances. And we just have to hope for the best at this point in time and continue praying, doing the best we can for the general public to observe all the protocols, for the immigration officers, customs, health workers out there, ask you to, look after yourselves and do the best you can in the circumstances, but whatsoever limited resources that you have.
Speaking of regional and international air travel, LIAT has also been an issue, not just here in Grenada, but around the region. What are your thoughts on the trouble that LIAT continues to face? And moving forward, there are new airlines that are hoping to travel or provide service to and from Grenada.
Well, it is most unfortunate that LIAT continues to find itself in this quagmire. And when our government last year or so provided $1 million support to LIAT, I made the point that LIAT will be back to the governments of the region within 6 months. It is a fact, but LIAT is like family to the Caribbean, family to the OECS, and it is really a sad day to see LIAT go. The issue here is that I believe everyone in the Caribbean would like to see LIAT continue. The fact of the matter remains, LIAT has to reinvent itself. I support the call by Prime Minister Brown of Antigua, but he has to accept the fact that LIAT has to be reorganized, and LIAT has to become a truly viable commercial entity. The politics in LIAT has killed LIAT over the years. Too many governments have been basically putting political muscle onto LIAT and has created serious problems for LIAT. 60% of the LIAT fares constitute taxes. And as a result of that, the travel loads have decreased significantly. But all is not lost. All is not lost. I personally believe that there is an opportunity for LIAT to come back. We have to involve the people of the OECS, the people of the Caribbean. LIAT stakeholders right now, LIAT shareholders, they need to divest themselves out of LIAT and ensure that LIAT becomes a truly commercial airline where business decisions are taken and limited political influence on to LIAT. There are over 5 million people in the Caribbean. Even if we get 1%, 500,000 persons, and they agree to contribute $100 under a special bond offering, which I had spoken to about, I believe it was last year. That will immediately raise $50 million for LIAT. But there must be special conditions under which this bond offering, because no one is going to just take up the $100 US and give it to LIAT. There must be strategic positions advanced. In other words, my $100 US must provide for me a 300% return on investment to make it extremely attractive. And those payments can be made via utility companies in the various countries. Now, the conditions associated with that investment: one, you would not get back cash on your investment. Two, you must utilize LIAT products, be it travel, baggage, cargo, etc. And four, they must be subject to load. Subject to load means if you get no confirmation on any of the services. You arrive at the airport, if there is space, your baggage can go, your cargo can go, or you can fly. Now, why do I say this? The fact remains, once an airplane takes off with empty seats, empty cargo space, empty baggage space, it is lost. It's like wind. It comes, it touches you, it goes. And LIAT has to come to the realization, and I've said this to LIAT donkey years ago, you have to create a 50% discount on the tickets. If a young person turns up to the airport and the flight is going to Trinidad and there are empty seats, he must be able to purchase that seat at 50% of the normal, regular, confirmed space. That is going to create additional revenue stream for LIAT and make it truly innovative airline in the Caribbean. In addition to it, LIAT needs to engage in a serious SWOT analysis. LIAT in Antigua is heavily overloaded, staff-wise. Matter of fact, it is said half the population of Antigua works with LIAT. That cannot continue. Prime Minister Brown of Antigua needs to understand that LIAT has to operate as a business. And that has to be the way forward for LIAT if it has to survive. LIAT has been through several of these challenges over the years, the last one being LIAT 1974. He's now proposing LIAT 2020. Well, 2020 is clear vision, and we have to see the right way as we move forward with LIAT. And this SWOT analysis will determine the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats which exist within LIAT. The strengths and weaknesses are internal. The opportunities and the threats are external. LIAT needs to do an honest and clear assessment as to where it is presently and where it wants to go. In addition to which, LIAT can also extend share certificates to employees, stakeholders, and suppliers. In other words, if I am supplying LIAT with whatever is required, we must be able to trade. I give you this, you give me that. It doesn't necessarily have to be dollars and cents, at least to a percentage point. And too often in the Caribbean, we allow Caribbean entities, strong Caribbean entities, to go down because we are scared of taking the next step. We are scared of going beyond the horizon. We have to embark on a policy of ensuring that we have the strength, the courage to move forward. It's been done in other countries all over the world. We are no different to any other citizen in any other part of the world. We can do it as a Caribbean people. We can revive LIAT. I have seen over the decades new airlines come and go. LIAT remains. As one of its strengths, it is probably one of the safest airlines in the world. Maybe one of the safest airlines in the world. And it creates employment for thousands of Caribbean people throughout its network. We just have to believe in LIAT, and we have to believe that there is a need for change in LIAT. And Prime Minister Brown, with the initiative that he is pushing from Antigua, while I support it, he has to come to grips with the fact that a serious restructuring of LIAT is needed for it to really survive.
Do you think that running LIAT by himself, Prime Minister Brown running LIAT by himself, because SVG's Prime Minister Gonzalez has offered to sell his shares for $1, in the event that the other shareholders of the airline, Barbados and Dominica, in the event that they decide to do the same and Antigua has the opportunity to run LIAT by itself, what do you think this would mean for the airline's future? Good things or bad things, or would it be the same as it is now?
It will be extremely challenging for Antigua alone to run any aspect of LIAT. Very, very challenging. To operate and run an airline, it's a very expensive venture. And it requires the support and collaboration and cooperation of all the islands. It's an interconnectivity arrangement that is going on. And seeing that LIAT provides this very valuable service to the region in uniting the people together, I believe the governments of the region, they have all a moral responsibility to provide an annual subvention to help with the support of LIAT. You are supporting the unification of the Caribbean people. You are supporting and protecting jobs in the Caribbean. And this LIAT is like family. You have to look after that. You have to look after it for it to really and truly survive. There's some fundamental changes that are needed, and let it be done and make LIAT what it was intended to be, a truly commercial airline serving the Caribbean and helping to unite the Caribbean people. But we cannot tolerate and accept these high travel tickets any longer. It's not going to work. Governments have used LIAT as a cash cow for too long. It cannot survive. It cannot continue any longer. But serious restructuring is necessary, and thinking outside of the box. Creative thinking is required now for the survival of LIAT. And a coming together of the Caribbean leaders is absolutely necessary for the survival of LIAT. Antigua alone on its own can't do it. It wouldn't survive.
There are other regional airlines that have come on board and have been offering their service to travel between the islands in the region. What should government in Grenada, and by extension the rest of the region, consider and or put in place before they say, okay, yes, Blossom Airlines can travel between the region? What should they seriously consider, or their primary consideration be, before agreements are met or reached?
Well, as it is right now, those who are offering the services, they need to be given the support because they are providing a very valuable and necessary service that unfortunately LIAT is unable to provide at this time. The fact remains they are not providing the sort of real support for the region, in that LIAT represents serious employment for the region. As I said before, LIAT is family. You have to look after LIAT. Many of these carriers, not they themselves, but I've seen over the years, other airlines have come in to compete with LIAT, and LIAT has stayed the course and maintained itself. Granted, at great expense to Caribbean governments who are the owners of LIAT. But the fact is, we have to give LIAT the opportunity to restart. This is the last chance, in my opinion, for LIAT to restart. And I would like to see a serious and honest SWOT analysis be done of LIAT. And the competent people need to undertake this SWOT analysis and to let not just Prime Minister Brown know, but the rest of the prime ministers in the region know very honestly and upfront what the SWOT analysis would say. They will identify the strengths of LIAT, they will identify its weaknesses, its opportunities and threats. And that analysis, once it is done in the manner that it ought to be done, the support needs to be given to LIAT. And I'm encouraging, if it moves forward, that Caribbean citizens, if we can get 500,000 Caribbean citizens out of our entire population of just over 5 million, investing $100 overnight, Liat can have $50 million in its coffers. And these investors, these Caribbean people, will benefit. And I'm proposing a whooping 300% return on investment with special conditions through a special bond offering. You ain't getting back any money. You must use Liat products. When you use it, it's subject to load. You can't lose. It's like a minibus going down the road. You have 10 seats empty. If he ain't pick up the fella who only have 50 cents or even have at all, then you know what happens. He gets to his destination and the 10 seats, they're still empty. So I have always promoted the fact that a minibus style operation for Liat throughout the island is absolutely necessary. A guy comes to the airport, he wants to go Barbados, Trinidad, there are empty seats, he must be entitled to 50% discount. You want a confirmation and an assurance, then you pay the full fare. That will increase travel throughout the entire network of Liat and help with its finances.
On that note, Mr. Forrester, let's take a break and then we're going to come back and continue the discussion. We are speaking with Mr. Terrence Forrester on issues or national issues. This is To The Point on Classic GBN Hot 98. We'll be right back.
Let's Cook Grenada, a practical culinary guide to local cuisine. Learn new ways to prepare your favorite foods or try different menus from various locations across the island. Let's Cook, Tuesdays at 8 p.m. on GBN Television, Channel 7 and 11, GBN's Facebook page, and GBN's YouTube channel. If you miss it, catch the repeat Thursdays at 10 a.m. and Sundays at 3:30 p.m.
GBN Television News at 7, a pulse on all things Grenadian. Look out for our new features through expanded synergies with our media partners in Barbados, St. Lucia, Jamaica, Trinidad, and beyond. Capturing the latest in news, sports, weather, and entertainment. Credible, informative. Thank you for making us number one. News at 7, live, Monday to Friday on GBN Television, Channel 7 and 11. K105.5 and 105.9, Hot 98.5 and 98.7, GBN Television Facebook page and YouTube channel, and www.gbn.gd. GBN, with you anywhere and everywhere.
COVID-19 spreads from person to person through the droplets that are produced when someone coughs or sneezes, which makes it easy to spread between people in close contact. Now let's get prepared to stay healthy. To reduce your chance of catching or spreading COVID-19, practice these simple everyday preventative measures. Droplets can also land on surfaces, so ensure that you wash your hands frequently for a minimum of 20 seconds or sing the happy birthday song twice. Avoid touching your face, especially your eyes, nose, and mouth. If soap and water are not readily available, use an alcohol-based hand sanitizer with an alcohol content between 60 and 90%. 70% is ideal. When you cough or sneeze, cover your nose and mouth with a flexed elbow or a tissue.
Welcome back to The Point. We are speaking with Mr. Terrence Forrester on national issues. Mr. Forrester, let me ask before we go to the phone lines, another issue that has been topical here in Grenada is that of the COVID-19 control bill. It previously was to be tabled in Parliament last Wednesday, but the government withdrew it following public outburst or outcry. What are your thoughts on this bill? Is the response of the public justified when they say my human rights are in jeopardy?
Absolutely so, indeed. It is It is most unfortunate that government had to try to table such a bill in the parliament without the necessary consultation with the people. This bill has serious implications for the freedoms of the people. And when you look at some of the aspect of the bill, it is tantamount to be very draconian in nature. I believe the government has accepted the fact that they erred, they made a mistake, and that, yes, indeed, consultation should be held. The fact remains, many aspects of that bill ought not to be even discussed. That's the bottom line to it. The content of the bill has to be just totally rejected. We understand the consequences that we have to face with respect to COVID, and there are appropriate and adequate bills in place, laws in place to protect the nation. We have to ask for people to be united, which is extremely important in ensuring that the protocols are being respected. We see only last night what obviously is happening, a total breakdown of the laws of the land, with jab all over the place and so forth. Now, what does that tell you? There is a breakdown of law and order in our society, unfortunately. And where is this coming from? You have to ask yourself the question, where is this coming from? We have always been a law-abiding citizen. We are all law-abiding citizens. But based on what the citizenry has been seeing over the past several years with the leadership of the government, not respecting the laws of the land, not respecting even the court's decisions, these things tend to trickle down all the way down to the grassroots man on the ground. And what you're seeing is a reflection of their disgust and the fact that if you could do it, I could do it too. That is the message that is being sent. I am prepared to break the law because you are custom breaking the law and having no respect for us, no respect for the courts. So what? And that is where lawlessness creeps in. Leadership in any aspect of life is fundamental. And unfortunately, we are going through this period in Grenada where a lot is to be desired of the leadership of our land.
The issue of oil and gas, Mr. Forrester, has also been at the forefront for a lot of people. During the 2018 campaign trail, the Prime Minister announced that we found oil and gas in Grenada's waters. 2 years later, and we are yet to see the benefits or progress in that. What can you tell us? Because prior to that, you were part of what I would say the NNP camp. What can you tell us about that venture?
Well, again, it is unfortunate that this was used as a ploy on the eve of election. And when I heard it myself, I was quite taken aback to say, great, well, at least we have been able now to find some source, some revenue source that can transform this nation, transform the country, transform the lives of the people. And there was great excitement and jubilation, only to realize that that is far from the truth. At least this is what we believe. The fact remains, to date, the country has not even been given the respect of seeing the contract arrangements entered into with the company who is supposed to own our oil and gas. We're hearing stories coming out of Trinidad, and we seem always to be getting information secondhand. And the stories coming out of Trinidad is that our gas is being negotiated to be sold to Shell in Holland. We need explanations from the government. We need confirmation of these things. And why aren't we getting our fair share from it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? Our oil and gas represents the last frontier of our economic hope for development in the country. And this is what, the public thought would have been. Unfortunately, another big lie was told. And when these things are permeated through the society, you have all these kind of misbehaviors taking place because the people start losing respect for you as the leader. And as such, they start doing things that are, let's say, uncommon to them. Our people are not used to breaking the laws, etc. But it seems as though that there is a penchant right now that they can do whatever they wish. This is not a good signal for us. This is not a good signal for the country. And Dr. Mitchell has a lot of work to do in that area in regaining the trust of the people. This is what it amounts to, you know, the trust. And I think the trust has been broken over and over. We see it in the parliament recently, where he stated in the parliament that he don't understand why the people are demonstrating when he already pulled back the bill. The fact of the matter remains, it boils down to a matter of trust. The people do not trust you. And this is very dangerous and very serious for our country as we move forward as people. If you cannot trust the leadership of the land, then you have serious problems in moving forward. We have to be able to regain that trust. I don't know how we will do it, but the trust needs to be regained.
At this point, we are going to open the floor for our viewers and listeners who may have questions for Mr. Forrester. 435-2041, that's the landline number. You can also pose your comments, questions, queries, concerns on the WhatsApp. It's also 435-2041. Please, only written messages on the WhatsApp. You can also participate on the GBN Television Facebook page and the Grenada Broadcasting Network's YouTube channel. Let's take our first caller of the program. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Blossom.
Morning.
Keep up the good works, my darling. You're doing a good job.
Thank you very much.
And to Mr. Forrester. I'm looking and listening to Mr. Forrester. And what I could see before me is the future Prime Minister of this country. Have a blessed day.
Thank you, caller.
Oh, that's a tall one.
A tall order. Do you have that high of a political aspiration, Prime Minister?
My dear, I would make myself available for any task which the nation calls upon me to do. I have served in various areas, and I have never attempted at any one time to undermine or unseat whosoever is the captain or the leader. I believe once a people appoints a leader, then it is only the respectful thing to do, but to give your full support to that individual. I believe that God has his own plan. He will keep you there for a reason and for a season. And he will move you on or move you down, depending on his plan. You just have to be honest in the process, do the best and what is expected of you in a dignified manner. Whatever happens thereafter, that is his plan, not mine.
All right, back to the phone lines. Good morning, caller.
Good morning to you, Bossam, and good morning to Mr. Forrester. Based on what Mr. Forrester is telling us now, if Mr. Forrester had got what he had asked the Prime Minister for, to be a candidate and to give him the condition that he wanted, what stand would he have been taken at this time? Because he's saying now that the Prime Minister is law and order breakdown through him, Grenada is moving backward and whatnot. So what would have been his position? He would have been moving backward too, because he was a strong supporter and advocate for the same Prime Minister. So I'm wondering now, what would have been his true position? You know, it baffles me there. The other thing is the bill that he's talking about. I want him to tell us if the bill that was pulled back, if it's not similar to a lot of things that are in the bill before, are present. While I agree that there should be more consultation and the government was wrong for not having enough consultation on an important bill like that, but I want him to tell me whether or not the bill as it stands now, without that bill, if the police and whatnot doesn't have the same amount of privilege and situation that they can arrest and do whatnot. And I agree, yes, that there's some breakdown of law and order now, because if people are trying to play mass and whatnot, that is totally wrong. And the government have to take charge of that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, caller. Mr. Forrester?
Blossom, the fact remains that in life, you find yourself in different circumstances and situations. And as I said earlier on, God puts you somewhere for a reason and for a season. He wants to teach you certain things. He wants you to understand certain complications and experience the good, the bad, the ugly, and the indifferent. This is not to say that he is trying to put you down or to hold you back. For you to grow, you must first understand certain principles, and you must go through the fire. If you have to move to other levels as he so wishes, you do the best you can, when you can, and to whomsoever you can. The fact remains, I was never always happy about decisions taken by the Prime Minister. The fact is, I was never in his cabinet. I was never in the Senate of this country, always assisting as the spokesperson for the New National Party when I served that organization. The fact remains, we have had differences, we have had challenges. I have served for many, many years. Yes, I did ask to be considered for a candidate for the South. I've been turned down at about maybe 3 or 4 times, which represents about 15 or 20 years. I've asked to serve in the Senate. I've been turned down for whatsoever reasons, I don't know. Yes, my diplomatic passport was taken away by a previous administration. That was their policy. And it was sitting in the office of the Minister of Foreign Affairs. I requested it on the grounds that my wife was ill and I had to be doing a lot of traveling. It was refused, and I said, look, I've had enough. Tell me, what have I done to you or to your administration or to your party? Absolutely nothing. Just worked. And the public must understand, I have always had a diplomatic passport. The Honorable Prime Minister refused to return it for reasons of his own. He has not shared with me what those reasons are. But I still take umbrage with the fact that he went on television, national television, and lied to the public, stating that I was demanding a passport from his administration and that he can't give passports to any and anybody. That was a blatant lie. The passport exists. It had a 10-year visa valid in it. And I simply said to him, please let me have it back. I have to do lots of traveling to visit my sick wife who had cancer in Holland. And it would help me whenever I travel. I don't have to go in very long lines. It would help me to get to the hospital much faster. And as I said, for whatever reason he refused, he and he alone would know why. If you are in such an organization and you have served for such a long period, and you made these very small requests, and you are turned down consistently, there comes a time when you say, enough is enough. Goodbye. And that was my position.
There is a WhatsApp question. Would you or your party, well, the National Democratic Congress, make direct public statements telling the public to stop mass gatherings and jab? Will you directly come out and condemn it publicly? I'm not just talking about just saying wear your mask and social distancing.
Blossom, the fact of the matter is this occurred last night, and I'm in no position to speak authoritatively on behalf of the National Democratic Congress on a matter that has not even been discussed as yet. But based on the principles that I see being exuded in this organization, I am certain that the leadership will make some form of statement in calling on the people to observe our laws and to protect what is right in our country.
Back to the phone line. Good morning, caller.
Good morning. Mr. Forrester seemed on the surface to be in the making of a good leader. Most of what he has said have some sound reasoning with Liat and what is taking place in Grenada. But on the other hand, I'm asking myself, if you want laws or to be obeyed. The laws must be made by the people. When I say the people, well, let's say the Grenada people. If you're in an organization and you want the laws to be obeyed, the organization must make the law. If you're in a school and you have a class, or the school or the class must have its laws, and then you expect the laws to be obeyed, because these people participate in making the laws. And this is what's so bad in what intended to happen recently. In fact, I stated a few weeks back that someone, a minister, said they have leased a piece of land in Annandale for a set of people whose name she doesn't want to mention. Isn't the land the people's business? And I spoke about that. We are doing things because we feel people put us there, but we are the omnipotent, or we are omnipotent. So we have the right to make law for people, and people must obey the laws. You don't expect people to obey laws. As, for example, Mr. Forrester said that the people in the Caribbean must own the airline and not perhaps one particular individual. We must own Grenada, not one set of people. And this is what is going wrong all throughout. People, they vote for them and they feel that they give them the right, the total right to handle every one of us as to how they want, whether we have sense or we don't have sense.
Okay.
And this is what is bad.
Thank you very much, caller. Mr. Forrester?
The caller Blossom is making some fundamental points in that consultation continues to be fundamental for the smooth running of our country. Irrespective as to what it is, you must consult with the people. I am not opposed to be it a Grenadian family or whosoever undertakes to run the waterfall. The fact is, there are certain guidelines of operations. If it's national assets and you wish to divest of it, then it must be so advertised in the local newspapers so that you give an opportunity for individuals to also participate. And if this wasn't done, then it is wrong. Is likewise disposing of national assets, be it vehicles, be it whatever resource that you have. It is clear the policy is it must be advertised. You can't just decide to select Tom Jones or Jim Brown and just sell it to them, because it gives the impression that there is favoritism in the process. So once we are prepared as a country to go through the laws, go through the policies that are clearly written out for all the permanent secretaries and all the government employees to view, then we wouldn't have any problems. Or when the politicians try to usurp these policies and make their own decision, then we find ourselves in serious problems. For example, now we're hearing of the Levera project as though something is happening up there. We shouldn't be wondering. The representatives for the area or the government should have had consultations with the villagers, with the people, as to what is happening out there. Don't let people start wandering all over the place. It is not good. It is not healthy. And I'm calling on this administration to spend some time in consulting with the people. Life would be much, much easier for all of us. Because you would agree, over the past several months, we have had very stressful times. And it continues to be stressful simply because the government fails to do the right things.
On that note, let's take another quick break, and then we're going to come back and wrap up the discussion with Mr. Forrester. This is To The Point on Classic Hot GBN.
That's not how you cross the pedestrian crossing.
Really? One day I just woke up and I saw pedestrian crosswalks on the road. No one really showed me how to use them properly.
Well, this is how it's done. You never cross before doing these things. They might save your life. First, when you get to the crosswalk, you stop. You look left, you look right. If there's a vehicle coming, you put your hand out, making eye contact with the driver, indicating that you want to cross. And only when the vehicle comes to a complete stop, you quickly cross to the other side.
Stop, look, hand out, eye contact. Wait for pedestrian to cross to the other side, then you happily continue on your journey. This message is brought to you by this group of insurance companies, the Traffic Advisory Body, and the Traffic Department.
You've spoken. We have heard. Now we're making more time available for your evening primetime shows on K105. From Monday, July 6th, Your Law will air from 6 to 7 p.m. On Tuesdays, Simply Agriculture. And on Wednesdays, join discussions on constitution reform in partnership with Island Media. At 5:55 p.m., we bring you news headlines, a capsule on local, regional, and international events, followed by news at 7 via simulcast with GBN Television. Join Godfrey Augustine for stimulating discussions on Release It from 8 p.m. on Wednesdays and Thursdays. GBN's K105.5 and 105.9. We're with you everywhere and anywhere. If you're on the move, catch us online at www.gbn.gd.
To see my granddaughter.
Welcome back to the point. Let's go right back to the phone lines. Good morning, caller.
We are sorry.
All right, lost that caller. Mr. Forrester, I have a question on WhatsApp. In a recent interview, the Prime Minister was asked about Grenada having its own airline, and he responded never or not on his watch, something to that effect. In an NDC government, would we see an airline owned by the people of Grenada?
Blossom, let us be realistic. To operate an airline is a very, very expensive venture. And I would not recommend to any government to run its own airline. I believe there are sufficient airlines in the region. We need to collaborate with them. We need to provide support and assistance wherever we can so that they can be effective and they can be the type of service that the people of the region really want. We need to support LIAT. We need to support anything that is Caribbean and show to the rest of the world that we can do it too. We just need to have the courage and the strength to persevere.
There is another WhatsApp question. Do you know anything about the Lavera property that was sold and they are building a yacht holding in the lake by opening a canal from the sea to the lake, and no one will have access to the Lavera beaches?
Wow, well, this is a new one for us, but then I'm not surprised because consultation seems to be no longer the name of the game in Grenada. The government just continues to do whatsoever it wishes to do, whether the people approves of it or not. But this is something that we would need to look into, and once we have the confirmation, then surely I'll be happy to be back on your program to share whatever information.
Let's go back to the phone lines. Good morning, caller.
Good morning to everybody. Mr. Forrester, the questions regarding LIAT, I don't know, but it's like reduction of taxes, which was playing a major game for ever so long, and why it is now when, well, new airline coming, all of a sudden the government, I think it was 6 or 7 in the Caribbean, I don't know if it's Grenada, from Grenada to the other within the islands, now trying to lower the taxes to accommodate the new airline. Why is not Liat? I mean, Liat has been there for ever so long. Yeah? Why we are banging our backs as someone is new? We don't know how safe it is, where these people come from. Or was that really being organized for ever so long? We don't know nothing about it. So the COVID-19 situation comes and they use the opportunity to get rid of Liat. Why it is like that? We seen this political interference in our, like, the electricity companies. We've seen it in the telephone companies and so on and so forth. Why politics has to play a game? It's supposed to be a free enterprise operating, and always see this political stuff playing all the time. Why is it,
Thank you very much.
It is most unfortunate indeed that too little is being done too late. The reduction in taxes should have been many, many moons ago. The governments of the region, the shareholders, they had been warned of this over and over. Even Liat management warned the governments, if you do not reduce the taxes, you are going to stifle and stranglehold Liat. But they all continued along the same path because they had a milking cow, and they milked the cow dry of its milk. Now that the cow has no more milk, they want to release their fingers from the nipples, but it is too late. So you have new entrants coming in to the sector, and they have no choice but to say to the new operators, well, okay, you can have the reduced taxes simply because they have to protect an industry. And this goes to show the poor planning of many of our leaders in the Caribbean, very short-sighted in their planning. And this is something I hope that the next generation will take into serious consideration. We must be futuristic planners in the region if we want success. You cannot continue to operate now for now and expect results down the road. Future generations, future populations are going to suffer. I am saying again, it is time for the region, the people of the region, to make the sacrifice now for Liat. Liat is a foundation member of the family, and we have to protect Liat in as much as is possible. But it needs help, it needs government's assistance, and it needs the assistance of the people of the region at this time.
Let's go to the phone lines. Good morning, caller.
Yes, good morning, Citizen Welsh. Greetings and greetings to your guest, Citizen Forrester. Listen, I sit here and I've heard you there enunciating a whole range of things. Inconsistencies, irregularities. The people of this country have had to pay for it. And therefore I come with this question again. Do you, Citizen Forrester, and I want you to tell the people crystal clear this morning, do you believe that under the current constitutional architecture of Grenada, where we live in a country ruled by an imperial order in council of the Queen's most excellent majesty, which has never even been made into law, and making laws that we are obligated to obey while the so-called leaders do their do with total immunity and, of course, impunity? What do you think really has to be done in our little Grenada as we move forward to bring about some change? I talk about real change in this here country. Thank you very much and have a nice day. Will you?
Thank you,
Brother Rollo, and you continue to voice the same concern which many, many, many Grenadians are coming to grips and understanding and appreciating the call that you had made. But take note, this is not just Grenada only. I was chatting with a friend in another island, and he said, funny enough, we have the same problem. And the Caribbean governments need to come to grips with the fact that many of our constitutions are illegal in essence, but it has been perpetuated over the years, and as though time has given credence to these constitutions, you can almost correlate that with Liat. We need, as a Caribbean people, to fix a number of things in the region, and it requires bold and strong decision makers to move forward in that direction, failing which the generations to come will continue to deteriorate and will continue to suffer as a result of what exists today. So I agree with you, Brother Rolo. It only takes a government and a leader with the courage and the tenacity to move in that direction at the right time.
There's a Facebook question that asks, can you tell us what plans the NDC has for the development of Carriacou and Petite Martinique?
Well, Blossom, we continue to have dialogue on many issues throughout Grenada, inclusive Carriacou and Petite Martinique. We have not yet come to that particular destination of Carriacou. But rest assured, the leadership of the National Democratic Congress under Sister Franca Alexis Bernadine is certain about embracing the people of the region, the people of Grenada, in consulting with them as to what is necessary, what is best for them. Gone are the days, in my opinion, any future government, and I'm saying any future government, must increase its consultation process with the people before attempting to introduce new measures, new laws, new policies that affect the people. Look at the simple, ordinary vendors in the market. You feel you're too big, and the government feel, well, they're above the vendors, fail to even consult with them, fail to even show them due respect. Well, we intend to refurbish the market square, and as such, this is what will happen. You will be displaced for a few weeks, but we have a plan B, and we hope you will cooperate with this, because what we are doing, this is the outlay, and it will be much better for you. Much safer, healthier, etc. But bear with us. It's only going to take a month or two. What is so difficult for you to do this for the people? You are representing the people, not yourself. And any future government needs to come to grips with that level of thinking, respect for the people. And once you respect the people will respect you.
As we wrap up this morning, Mr. Forrester, any final thoughts?
Yes, just to say that, unfortunately, we have been noticing that almost every sector in this country has been under attack, from the nurses, the doctors, the orderlies, down to teachers, bus owners and drivers, agriculture, farmers and workers, the said market vendors. We need to understand that consultation will bring about the success that we require. We need to renew our mind. We need to transform ourselves. The battle that we face today is in our mind. You will only be defeated based on what you believe. And I believe that we have a great future in this country, but we're calling on the government to institute certain measures. And I want to just go back quickly to SWOT analysis. It is a strategic business planning tool, and surely it must be in the government service. And anything that is being developed, be it a proposed law to Parliament, be it a project, whatsoever you are doing requires SWOT analysis to determine the strengths of what you're going to do, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the strengths. It's a collaborative dynamics that needs to be introduced. If it's not in the government service, it needs to be introduced. It tells you whether if something is going to fail or if it's going to succeed. We have had too many failed projects in this country. The Grenada Sustainable Aquaculture Project, or the locally known as a shrimp farm, surely a SWOT analysis ought to have been done to determine the failure or successes, to determine the opportunities, to determine the threats, that may exist if we move forward with such a project. As a result of that, $52.4 million gone. You've had the St. Mark's Poultry Project, or known as the chicken farm. Is that too gone? Millions gone down the road. MNIB, millions squandered. Now attempts have been made at GCNA and the Cocoa Association. We say no. We need to introduce in our country the opportunity for people to contribute. We need skills training throughout the length and breadth of this country. In every primary school, skills training is fundamental because that's where the jobs are going to be later on down the road. A young man who is unable to change a light bulb in his house will have serious issues. We need to develop this science and technology park. Since 1998, our Prime Minister was appointed Minister responsible for science and technology in the Caribbean. I want him to point to any development that he was personally involved in with respect to science and technology. 1998, it was boasted that we will set up a science and technology park so that our young, brilliant students can have an opportunity to compete with other students throughout the world. Where is it today? Where is it today? The National Development Plan, which has been talked about, where is it today? We need serious strategic planning in this country. We have our dear ambassadors sitting abroad, sipping champagne. We say, put them to work. They must knock on doors and find opportunities for farmers and all others. We are importing out of Trinidad cement blocks, bread. Come on, give me a break. Are you saying to me that the people of Grenada who have cement block factories can't produce a similar quality block? It's simply because they don't have the equipment. So it's a responsibility of government to invest in proper equipment, bring these people in and say, this is what I will do. I want you to be able to produce and compete successfully. But when you prefer to import because you're getting duties, what you do is that you kill the job opportunities and the skills training of our local people. We have to do something. We have to turn around.
Thank you very much, Mr. Forrester. Thank you very much. You have yourself a pleasant Tuesday and continue to stay safe.
Thank you very much. Been a pleasure. All
right. That was our guest, Terry Forrester. We thank him for being our guest this morning. And that's the end of my time for the day. I'll be back with you tomorrow, God willing. Joseph is up next with Mid-Morning Buzz. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday, everybody. Continue to stay safe.